53 seconds to go. Inbound goes to SGA's up the left sideline. He's guarded out there by Christian Brown. He goes to the right hand. He's in the paint. Throws out of it. Isaiah Joe, sidestep three. That one's short. Rebound down to Christian Brown. And they're going to foul him with 40 seconds left to go in the basketball game. Ball Arena crowd sensing a Game 7. And Mark Daigneault has seen enough. He is going to his bench. He has waved the white flag in game number 6.
Yeah, the crowd was right. They sensed a Game 7 coming up, and that's exactly what we're going to get in this just awesome showdown between two amazing basketball teams. Welcome to In the Paint, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Dan Tanner, we will be going through the entirety of this basketball game. There's so much to react to in this one. We'll be hearing from players in the locker room. Whoever gets up to the podium and speaks, we will hear from everybody as the Nuggets force a Game 7 in the West semis against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This one was all sorts of fun. Now, before the game started, earlier today, we found out that Jamal Murray was actually added to the injury report because of an illness and was questionable heading into tonight's game. So I got here early, was watching warm-ups, and Jamal did not come out for his normal warm-up routine. So everybody was like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Well, just a short while later, the Nuggets tweet out that Jamal was good to go and he was in the starting lineup. And I tell you what, awesome performance tonight from Jamal Murray. Adelman said before the game that he was very sick. So for him to come out and do what he did in tonight's game is just plain awesome. He scored 11 points in the first quarter. He was 4 of 5 shooting in that first quarter. So for him to not go through his pregame routine and to have the quarter that he did to start this game really got the Denver Nuggets off to a good start tonight. I mean, that was just absolutely fantastic to see. So there were a lot of really, really good moments in this game, including Jamal Murray. There was a lot of questionable foul calls in tonight's game. In fact, if you go to my Twitter, I posted a video of the alleged foul that was called on Nikola Jokic when Chet Holmgren was driving to the rim. They showed the replay here on the Jumbotron. I have it on my Twitter. Joker barely even touches him. So that was a weird one. There was a lot of odd things going on. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 4 fouls in the first half. I was saying at halftime, I will bet my next paycheck that Shai doesn't get another foul in this game. He ended up with 4 fouls. So he did not get a foul in the second half of this game. But, hey, that's all right. You know, the fact that Shai had 4 fouls going into halftime was a great sign for the Nuggets in the second half because Shai couldn't be as aggressive as he normally would be with those 4 fouls. So I really thought that sort of hampered his ability to push the offense for the Thunder tonight, and obviously the Nuggets took advantage. I thought Michael Porter Jr. had an okay bounce-back game. He hit his first 3 at the 5-minute and 20-second mark of the first quarter, and if you've listened to the show throughout this series, my rule or idea for Michael Porter Jr. has never been to bench him. It was always to start him, but the leash, Adelman's got to shorten the leash. And you can tell with Michael, in the games where he's been successful, he's hit outside shots early on in basketball games. And we saw that tonight in the first quarter, so Adelman gets to extend the leash on MPJ, and it worked out. And Michael hit some big shots tonight as well. He ended up, just 4 of 9, 2 of 5 from 3, 10 points. Look, at this point, if Michael's giving this team 10 points in a game, I count that as a win for the Denver Nuggets. So, good sign there. Joker was great again, super efficient. He was 9 of 14 from the field, got to the line 12 times. That's something that Joker has been doing better and better as this series has progressed. He's been getting to the line a lot more. And his assists were up a little bit tonight. He ended up with 8 of them. That's something that we've talked about on the show too. The assist totals for Joker has been very low in this series, and that's been one of the biggest concerns for me, but he ended up having, that total going up tonight. Okay, looks like we got KJ Granderson on the show. KJ, welcome to In the Paint. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
KJ, Julian Strawther tonight. I think that's probably the big story of the game. Late in the third quarter, hits 2 threes, hits a circus layup, ends that in under 2 minutes. The final 2 minutes of the third quarter, KJ, Julian Strawther has 8 points. And what have we been talking about this whole series? There's got to be somebody off the bench who can come into the game and knock down outside shots. I've mentioned Julian Strawther, have I not? And finally, he gets a legit shot at it tonight, comes into the game and produces, and that was just awesome to see from Julian Strawther. Finished the game with 15 points tonight.
No, Julian Strawther was absolutely awesome tonight. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better performance from him. And, it's something me and you've been talking about for a while, and I've heard you say it on multiple post-game shows here in the playoffs. You just need somebody who can stretch the floor. It literally will open up everything for the Nuggets inside and outside, and Julian Strawther was that guy. And, going back to towards the end of the regular season, Dan, I know a conversation me and you were having at the time was if MPJ shoots well, Julian Strawther probably won't see the court. But if MPJ started to tail off, then we could see more Julian Strawther, and now we're kind of seeing the fruits of that labor. So shout out to Julian first off for just staying ready, staying prepared.
Yes.
It's so easy, as you well know, Dan, like in the NBA, it's 82 games plus the playoffs. So you can have those moments where you feel like you want to tune out or dial out, but he is always ready whenever his number is called. And I got to respect Julian Strawther on that. No matter how you feel about how he plays defense, offensively, what he brings, I promise you, like it really outweighs whatever he does on the defensive end. And to me, I'll take it.
Well, yeah, and look, KJ, I've been saying this really all season long, and specifically in the playoffs. The positive thing about Julian Strawther is, and the reason I've advocated for him to get more minutes, specifically in this series, he's your best shooter coming off the bench. Like,
Easily.
Russ has been Russ was pretty bad tonight, and we'll get into that in just a sec. But Russ has been their most, productive player off the bench. But Julian Strawther is this team's best shooter coming off the bench by far. And with the way that the Thunder have packed the painted area in the series, all 6 games, KJ, and I give the Nuggets credit, they worked their tails off to get into the painted area tonight. But I kept saying, like, this team needs that one extra shooter coming in off the bench. That was Bruce Brown back in 2023, the year the Nuggets won a championship. And finally tonight, Adelman sort of, lets him loose, and he came in there and produced for this team. So that was cool to see. Going back to the Michael thing, you're right. He wasn't struggling early. So, okay, is Julian going to get into tonight's game? Well, Adelman had to reshuffle his rotations tonight because of Jamal's sickness. He actually ended up taking Jamal out earlier than he normally would in that first quarter. So there was some shuffling of the deck, if you will, on the rotations tonight. And I tell you what, man, it really paid off for this team, getting Julian Strawther in there. And who knows, KJ, like, this could be one of those games where this gives Julian confidence moving forward to where he can go in there and produce in a Game 7. Adelman's certainly going to trust him more at this point. So, nothing but positive things coming out of Julian Strawther tonight. That was awesome to see.
Agree, 1,000%. And that's what you need. Like, I was, I don't know who I was talking to earlier today, but I was expressing that confidence cannot be built by pulling trust back. You have to be instilled with trust in order to gain confidence. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is Adelman saying, like, I'm going to leave you out here for a stretch of time. It's not like, oh, I'm only going to put you out for 2 to 3 minutes, right? It's nothing like that. It's like, I'm going to leave you out here for 45 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes at a time, and we'll see what happens from there. And it's just the way that Adelman continues to empower his players. Had he been thinking like this in Game 5, maybe we'd be celebrating a totally different thing right now.
DMac
That's
is
neither
going
here
to
nor
be
there.
happy to hear you say that.
Well, listen, it's just the truth. And listen, he has some wild takes, but I do agree with him 1,000% on that. And so Julian Strawther, man, big shout out to him. Yeah, I'll let you go before we go to negative town because that's where I'm ready to go with Russell Westbrook.
Okay, just in just 1 sec. But I thought a couple more really significant moments in tonight's game, KJ, was the run at the end of the second quarter. The Nuggets, they actually went on a 12-0 run, and then the Thunder hit a 3 at the buzzer. How many buzzer beaters, by the way, have we seen from opposing teams in these playoffs? The Clippers hit a couple. The Thunder have hit a couple. It's just wild. I don't think I've ever seen that many in such a short amount of games in the playoffs. But I thought that was a big moment. So the Nuggets were actually down big. They got outscored 25-13 over the last 9 minutes. Russ has 3 turnovers. The bench was awful in that stretch. But the starters came back in. And got the lead down to 3 at halftime. So I thought that was a big moment. And then to start the third quarter, we talked about Julian ending the third quarter on a hot run. Well, Michael hit 2 3-pointers in the first 6 minutes for himself as well. So you had Michael hit 2 in the first 6 minutes, and then you had Julian hit 2 in the final 2 minutes of the third quarter, plus a layup. So I thought that was a massive stretch in this game. But look, I don't want to go super negative on Russ right now because this was an outstanding team win, no doubt about it.
Sure.
But, man, he had some rough stretches in tonight's game. It's the turnovers,
like I said,
he had so many turnovers from Russ. But it's the Russ roller coaster, KJ. He even admitted that himself. This is what you're going to get with this guy. And who knows, in Game 7, he could be the star coming off the bench again. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But look, Nuggets fans, I hope you understand this. Russell Westbrook isn't going anywhere, okay, for the rest of these playoffs. Like, he's going to play in these games. It just, you hope for the remainder of these playoffs, however long that may be, that we get more good Russ than bad Russ. But what did you make of Russ's performance tonight there, KJ?
If I had to put a grade on it, man, I would probably say D+. Like, the turnovers they just came at times where the Nuggets were trying to make that push, and he just kept trying to force plays that again they just were not there. And he just has to know when to just dial it back. Like, everything doesn't have to be 1,000 miles per hour. Now let's go to the second half.
I don't know if he can do that, KJ. I'm not joking when I say that. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about Russ and one of the bad things about Russ. He doesn't know any other speed than 1,000 miles an hour.
But agree. Well, so the morning sprint by hook or by crook, Coach Sanford created a term the other day called Russell Westbrook has the Russell Westbrook Tourette's, where he doesn't know anything else except what he knows. And it's just like, when he said it in the moment, I was like, what? And then when he explained it, I was like, it makes perfect sense.
Wait, Mike said the Russell Westbrook Tourette's. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And this is going back to game 2. Russell Westbrook had no reason, no business going 1,000 miles per hour, but he chose to go 1,000 miles per hour anyway. And so it's just like, okay, great. I'm glad you're going 1,000 miles per hour. But then you get nights like tonight where you're going 1,000 miles per hour and the Nuggets are actually in position to win. And it's just like, bro, like, do you not understand? You got to kind of dial it back. But again, that's the negative side. I'll give a little positive to Russell Westbrook tonight. In the second half, he had a couple of moments where he had some solid offensive rebounds. You remember how right there in the fourth quarter, the guys were basically being picked up 94 feet. Russell Westbrook gets switched on to Chet Holmgren and absolutely just zoom right by him, right to the cup. Couple of good plays by Russell Westbrook tonight, man. But I will say this, and other media members agree with me as well. Julian Strawther saved Russell Westbrook tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he saved the season tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if Julian Strawther doesn't have the performance he has and doesn't go on that run there at the end of the third quarter, who knows how this game turns out. So what a time for Julian to, this is this is a new potential wrinkle for David Adelman coming up in Game 7. And now the Thunder have to legitimately prepare for that situation. So that does add another, dimension or dynamic to Game 7 for the Nuggets. And by the way, KJ, this will be the first 2-day break in the series. And guess what? Guess who that benefits more, in my opinion? That benefits the Nuggets more. Absolutely it does.
Here.
Yes, they're the veteran team. They're the ones that need the rest. Obviously, Aaron Gordon didn't look good there in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. It looked like he pulled his hamstring. We'll see what happens. I haven't seen any sort of update on AG yet, but, that's never good. We saw that happen to Steph Curry in the Warriors-Wolves series, and he missed the rest of the series. But, look, all in all, excellent win for the Nuggets. And how about Adelman's decision, KJ, to start the fourth quarter? Again, It was an 8-point lead for the Nuggets, and I texted DMac in our group. I was like, okay, DMac, what's he going to do? We're in this situation, the same exact scenario as Game 5. Literally the exact same. What was Adelman going to do? I couldn't wait to see how this played out. He decided to sit Joker to start the fourth quarter. Now, look, this same situation played out in Game 4 also, and Adelman did rest Joker in that game for the first 3 minutes, okay? And the Nuggets blew the lead in that game. Well, he decided to not sit Joker to start the fourth quarter in Game 5, and they blew that lead. So, to me, that's why it made it so fascinating to see what Adelman was going to end up doing in that situation, because it hadn't worked out both ways he tried it. Well,
let me
sat
ask you
Joker
this,
tonight, and it worked out.
It did, but let me ask you this. If Julian Strawther doesn't get hot at the end of the third, does he sit Jokic?
That's a good question. That's good. Probably not. Probably not. Yeah.
Because Jamal Murray, respectfully, he started sizzling a little bit more in the fourth and towards the end of the third there, but it wasn't enough, I don't think, for David Adelman to feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right, KJ. Appreciate you jumping on, man. Thank you so much. And
appreciate
hopefully
you, bro.
We're chatting after a Game 7 win. Appreciate it, man.
I hope so, man. Appreciate you.
All right, there he goes. KJ Granderson, everybody. Yeah, that was such an interesting decision here from David Adelman. Like I said, I couldn't wait to see what he was going to do. All right, we've got some post-game sound coming in that DMac is posting. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. I want to hear from we've got Michael Porter Jr. in the locker room. We're going to hear from Julian Strawther, and Jamal Murray talked at the podium as well. Want to remind you, it all comes down to this. Join Altitude Sports Radio at Stoney's on Lincoln this Sunday for a Game 7 viewing party. We will have awesome prizes, a live broadcast, and a chance to watch your Nuggets in the biggest game of the season, all brought to you by Milagro Tequila, the brighter side of tequila. See you on Sunday at Stoney's. We'll hear from Jamal Murray next on In the Paint.
Denver basketball on the side. Shot clock reset to 14. Inbound on top over to Aaron Gordon. Gordon peels off to the right wing, throws out of Murray for three. Yes! 11-point lead for Denver, 93-82. And this is Denver's big lead of the night.
Not only did Jamal Murray play through a sickness tonight, he made a big impact for the Denver Nuggets. Like I said, he had 11 points in the first quarter, got the team off to a very good start in this basketball game. It's always nice when Jamal Murray gets going early on in games. When that happens, it's almost a certainty that he's going to go for a big game. But specifically tonight, it was reassuring to me because, like I mentioned in segment one, earlier in the day, it was reported that Jamal Murray was added to the injury report with an illness. And before the game, David Adelman confirmed that and did indeed say Jamal was quite sick. He missed his pregame warm-up routine. I was watching for him out there, did not see him go out there. That was a concern. And then the Nuggets tweet out a little bit after that he was going to be playing and starting. So then the question becomes, well, what kind of Jamal Murray are the Nuggets going to get tonight? No pregame warm-up. He's very sick, according to David Adelman. And, you know, how many minutes is he going to be able to play even if he gets into the game? And how effective could he be? He played 42 minutes tonight, and I thought he was very effective. In fact, he was a plus 28 that led the team. That led everybody in the game. How about that? This was a signature game for Jamal Murray. I mean, it really was. The fact that he gutted it out through his sickness and ended up playing tonight, and not only playing but producing at the level that he did, was absolutely phenomenal to see. And I've said this so many times on this show, this team goes as Jamal Murray goes. If he is producing at a decently efficient clip, then the Nuggets have a very, very good chance of winning some of these basketball games. He ends up with 25 points tonight, 2 of 6 from 3, 9 of 19 from the field, 8 rebounds too. Those are effort plays. So the juice was there for Jamal, and he had 7 assists. So awesome to see from Jamal Murray. He spoke to the media after the Nuggets' Game 6 win. Here's what he had to say.
What symptoms were you dealing with, and how much did you feel like it was bothering you? You had to fight through it during the game?
Everything was kind of bothering me, but kind of once the game starts and the team needs you and adrenaline kicks in, you see a couple shots go in or whatever, you just kind of suck it up and then get through it. So,
how much do you enjoy these back against the wall type of games? You've played well in them.
I'd rather be up. I don't know. We've had our fair share. I think it just adds to the character that we build and experience. Chemistry, the trust, another big word. I just think, with that being said, I think we can do a lot better job of being the first to throw the punches and just be up.
Just how happy were you for Julian Strawther to have that moment?
Super happy, man, because we all know what he's capable of. He just kind of needs to see the floor and get his rhythm, get some time in, not foul and stuff like that. But you can see how he can impact the game real quick in a high pressure moment. So it was just really good to see him catch that rhythm, show that emotion, and get everybody going. I really felt like he, even when they kind of came back or had a run, like his energy really set the tone for us. Everybody kind of realized what was going on, and we were able to just build off that kind of energy. The crowd got into it and everything like that. So it was just, I think it was just a snowball effect, and we all played better after that, to be honest.
And just following up, I asked DA about resiliency and just where that kind of shows up in between games. Just, you guys are so well known for it overall. Just where do you think you guys show the resilience? Like, where does that come from, and how do you build that? Is it something that you can?
Just from being down all the time. It builds, like I said, it builds a lot of character. You get to find out about not just yourself but your teammates, and that sets you up for the next time you guys are down, and then you guys fight through and you build something else. You maybe figure something else out, and then sets you up for the next time. And just over the years, we've we've kind of caught a rhythm of playing from behind. So, like I said, I think we just need to turn that same energy into hitting first and bringing it, not waiting to see what happens or working us up into the game or waiting to get hit first, stuff like that. I think we do just a better job of hitting.
Jamal, you've had a lot of Game 7s in your career, but this is going to be the first one on the road that you guys have had. Does that, because the other ones were in the bubble, neutral site. Does that bring any...
Play Portland at home? Play Portland at home?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. All right, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Does that bring like an additional challenge at all? Just having
I think to the group,
barn?
I think just getting everybody ready, it's a lot of fun because there's no crowd for you. You gotta stay together. You gotta bring your own energy. You gotta go in the right mindset, and I think it's just gonna force us to be more together, build more trust and stuff like that. So I think it's a great opportunity. We beat them there the game one. I was gonna say something. I had to burp. I just think it's gonna be a good challenge. It'll be fun. The crowd will be rocking, energy will be high. So this is it'll be a fun matchup and a fun environment as well.
Coach said he thought that the group in the room might have been almost as excited about 2 days off as getting this win. It looks that way. I asked you after Game 5 how confident you were about Game 6. With 2 days off and with Joker on your side, how confident are you going into Game 7?
No, 100%. I mean, just like I said, that mindset of wanting to go back to OKC, which is crazy, and finish the game out there. So we used the 2 days off as motivation to go out there and play hard today. So that was good.
All right, cool. Thank you, Jamal.
All right, there he is, Jamal Murray, after the Nuggets win Game 6. The most exciting 2 words in sports, Game 7, coming up in Oklahoma City on Sunday. Mike Sanford joins me right now. Mike, you were at the game. We were just talking about the heroics of Julian Strawther, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's start with Jamal there. We just heard from Jamal Murray, and we heard during our show, PhD today, that Jamal was added to the injury report with an illness.
Yeah, I love this.
He missed his pregame warm-up.
No doubt.
I mean, I was out there watching for him. He did not
sure
get
did.
out there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, uh-oh. And then, about 20, 30 minutes later, the Nuggets tweet out that not only is he playing, but he's starting. And not only did he play and start, he was one of the best players for the Denver Nuggets.
And played over 40 minutes?
Played 42 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you what, man, whatever illness Jamal Murray had, we all need that illness.
Wow.
That's a really good illness to have, man. It is it's a fountain of youth. It makes you play really good basketball. I'll say this, Dan, and I'm not going to put on my tinfoil cap, but today when we were doing the morning sprint 10 to noon, OKC was actually doing their shoot-around, their practice, and there was a little bit of paranoia. So we'll just call it paranoia surrounding the OKC camp. I think there were some dark arts happening with regards to all the things that go into an elimination game. And I'm a coach. I've been a part of some of those posturing moments. I've seen some of it on both sides. But what I'm going to tell you is that Jamal Murray, whether he had a little stomach bug, a little sniffle, he played awesome basketball tonight. And you know what? If David Adelman or Jamal Murray or the Nuggets wanted to play this thing up a little bit, cool. It's part of the game. It's what happens. Nick Saban did it. I tell you, Bill Belichick did it. These guys, they play these games when it really comes down to the final stretch.
Yeah. I mean, great performance from Jamal. I give David Adelman, coach, a lot of credit for the changes he made tonight. Mm-hmm. The rotations were a lot different because Jamal's sickness. He had to switch up the rotation. So Julian actually got in the game early on, and Michael was actually hitting some shots. So I was like, uh-oh, well, Julian's not going to get in this game. Here comes Julian because Jamal goes out earlier than he normally would in the first quarter. So I thought that was the right move by Coach Adelman to mix up the rotations and give Jamal find spots to give him a little bit of extra rest. But, the real question that, over the last couple days on the station, DMac has been talking about Adelman's decision to not sit Joker in Game 5 to start the fourth quarter. Now, in Game 4, he did decide to sit Joker for the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, and the Nuggets gave up the lead.
Right.
And then in Game 5, he decides not to rest Joker to start the fourth quarter, and the Nuggets give up the lead. It was another 8-point game tonight, Coach, going into the fourth quarter, and I was sitting there like, I cannot wait to see what Adelman does. Like, I really just could not wait. I texted DMac, and I was like, oh, my goodness, here we go. He decides to rest Joker for the first darn near 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, and it worked out.
DMac's going to take full credit.
Oh,
like,
dude.
as if
you should see our text thread.
As if Adelman is a listener of PhD. But the reality is this, is that you closed out the third quarter with a run, with momentum.
And the second quarter.
Yeah, and you had the opportunity. And that's the one thing that the Nuggets haven't done really in this series against OKC is really, truly close out quarters.
They really struggled with that.
Now, what I'll say
is
that first quarter of this game, that was unbelievable going into the final minutes of the first quarter until the Russell Westbrook legacy game that he wanted to have happen. It was unbelievable.
I saw you tweet out that he was playing hero ball.
It annoyed me.
Yeah.
It agitated me. I'm like, this team and the starting five is playing such good basketball.
They had 11 assists in the first 6 minutes.
Just let those players play.
Keep the ball moving.
And if you get a great open look for a layup and you could slap the backboard, Russ, then do that, Russell Westbrook. But don't just force shots.
Right.
Because you're trying to prove a point to the franchise that drafted you, that you played your early moments in. And that's I've been saying this for a long time. I don't fully trust Russell Westbrook in moments that are critical. He is a great energy player. He's an experience in and of himself, but he can be a detriment. And in the first quarter, I think this game could have been a blowout. I really felt like it had the ability to be a blowout game.
2 minutes and 32 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The Nuggets have a 10-point lead. They're up 30-20. Russ enters the game for Aaron Gordon, okay? This is where the first quarter went wrong. Minute 51, Russell Westbrook bad pass, okay? Russell Westbrook.
That would be called a turnover.
A turnover.
That's what we call it.
Yeah, thanks, ESPN.
In these parts.
Get it right.
Well, I'll tell you what, ESPN's gotten very soft these days. Yeah. Just a bad pass. Not a turnover, a bad pass.
Okay, and then he gets to the line. Okay, good. I'll take that.
You know what's
Makes
great
the first free throw.
You know what's great about
Russell
Russell Westbrook? Anytime he gets to the foul line, you pretty much book it that it's one of two.
I pray that it's one of two.
Yeah, it's consistently one of two. He is a postseason 50% free throw shooter.
So he misses the second free throw. Okay. Russ again, minute 02. Misses 7-foot 2-point shot.
Out of control shot, I remember it.
Yep. 35 seconds to go. Russell Westbrook lost ball turnover.
Trying to force it.
Let's see here. 23.1 seconds to go. This is the first quarter, everybody. Russell Westbrook misses 26-foot 3-point jumper. It's now a 5-point game. You're right, man. And look, I don't want to put that all on Russ because I thought the Nuggets defense.
But let's just be honest, DT, we've seen this before.
Yeah. Oh yes.
We've seen this movie before.
Absolutely.
And there's listeners out there, and I'm in the camp. I'm a guy that coaches people for a living. I love effort. I love sacrifice. I love people that'll throw their body on the line. But I also like smart players. And I still go back to this, that a better player is a smarter player. And I just want to see that more consistently.
Do you think Russ is a smart player?
No. And that's why I have.
In what sense? Because there are a lot of times where Russ will make a decision where I'm like, man, that's a really high IQ type of pass right there, or type of play. Where is he not a smart player in your eyes?
I believe that Russ sees things through his stat lines, through his what he's going to be known for in each and every game, in each and every postseason series. And at times, you don't need to be the hero. You just need to be the guy that makes the appropriate basketball play.
That's what makes Joker so great, man.
And
he always makes the right play.
And you know what made tonight so special, in my humble opinion, and why Ball Arena was so incredibly electric? This place has been just waiting for somebody to emerge and rise from the ashes to just make the appropriate basketball play that hasn't been counted upon And that's where I think this is the Julian Strawther game. Because Julian Strawther, frankly, was kind of the anti-Russell Westbrook. When he had his opportunities, he confidently shot the basketball, but it wasn't forcing opportunities. It was just him going out and playing basketball. And you know what I think? I think that not only was that huge for Game 6 to stay alive, I think it's massive for Game 7.
For Julian?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I said that in the first segment. I was like, not only did he help you win this game, but now
the bench got bigger tonight.
Not only did the bench get bigger tonight, but now the Thunder, coach, have to game plan for a potential new wrinkle in Adelman's rotation.
You're right.
So that's another added dynamic heading into Game 7 that they haven't had to prepare for in this series so far.
I was up in the Altitude TV post-game show with Vic and Scotty Hastings and Chris Dempsey, my guy. And Julian Strawther came up there, and he graced the Nuggets faithful with his presence. Electric atmosphere.
Oh, I bet.
A good solid hour and 20 minutes after the final whistle of the contest. Julian Strawther became a Denver Nugget officially tonight. He really did. And you know what's funny? The last time I called in was
That's a good way to put it. I didn't think of it that way, but he sealed his fate as being a Nugget.
He is a Nugget.
For sure.
And you know what? I think he's a confident Nugget going into Game 7. One thing I felt like in the moments that Julian Strawther got in Game 5, which was a failure for the Nuggets, it left a lot of Nuggets faithful, the Nuggets nation, saying, I want more of that player. Because you know what he didn't look like? He didn't look fearful. He looked like he was confident. He wanted the basketball in his hand. He wasn't just throwing shots up, but he was reading the defense.
He wasn't airballing threes.
Yes, you're exactly
I'm not
right.
trying to take a shot at Russ, but that's just the truth. You know,
yeah, you're exactly right.
And those were bad misses by Russ. You know what I'm saying? Well, look, Coach, I've been saying this the whole series, and actually it's been more in regards to Michael Porter Jr. just because of the shoulder injury that I've been calling for more minutes from Julian Strawther and just to help out the bench because who's your best shooter coming off the bench? It's Julian Strawther. Like, he's the guy that can come in off the bench and hit a couple of outside three-pointers when you need them. And it finally came to fruition.
It sure did.
Tonight.
It's funny. I went on record the last 2 days on the morning sprint talking about how I wanted a lot of Julian Strawther, but I also wanted some Jalen Pickett. Because, like, who knows which of those two players, they're both capable of knocking down three-point shots and have shown that. But we didn't really, truly know what either one of those players can give. And obviously Jalen Pickett didn't get any minutes tonight, so it was Julian Strawther's opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you get into a jam in Game 7, I still think that Jalen Pickett and Julian Strawther are both bench players that are available to give you knockdown three-point shooting.
Even if it's 7 minutes for Jalen Pickett.
Because
if you need it.
No doubt.
Like, you don't need to go to him if you don't need to.
No, and
But he's there if they need him.
For sure. And I called, I think, before the game, it's like we're going to get 6 or 8 Jalen Pickett points today. We obviously didn't get 1 minute.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's all right.
But you know what? It's because Julian Strawther was that guy. You know what I loved about this game today? For a Nuggets team that had played 8 playoff games in 15 days, DT, did the Nuggets look heavy-legged at all in this game?
Not at all. Did Jamal Murray?
Not one player.
Not at all.
Not one player in this basketball team.
You're right. Yeah.
Heavy-legged.
I mean, Jamal, who was sick before the game, didn't look like he ran out of gas. How about that? He played 42 minutes.
Air quotes sick.
I mean, I don't know.
Murray flu game?
Yeah. I'll take your conspiracy theory
but here's
for that one. That's okay.
Dan, when you get into these situations, back against the wall, playing an unbelievably talented team, and even tonight, Oklahoma City, you got to tip the cap to them. They are such a good team. They are so hard to put away. Are they not? Like, every time that you have what you think is the answer offensively, what does OKC do? They answer right back.
Well, that's the benefit of having an extremely deep and talented roster.
They are, and they hit shots. They make shots. They make shots everywhere.
Jalen Williams blew a couple of dunks tonight. That was fortunate for the Nuggets.
That was good for them.
That was rare. I couldn't believe that.
You know what was interesting in the first half, going into the second quarter, when I was looking at Hartenstein having 3 fouls, Jalen Williams, the backup Jalen Williams, he had 4 fouls, and SGA had 4 fouls.
Shea had 4 at halftime.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to factor in the second half. And you know what? Even though I don't think anybody fouled out, did they?
No, Shea didn't actually end up getting a foul in the second half, but
it impacts the second half.
He's not going to be as aggressive.
Yep,
you can't be.
And Isaiah Hartenstein isn't used the same way he is.
If you have 3 fouls going into halftime, you can't be as aggressive as you would normally like to be going into the second half. So I agree. That absolutely played a factor.
What I liked about how Denver played the game today is that there wasn't a lot of timidity. There wasn't tentativeness in terms of taking the basketball to the cup. They did that. They took the ball to the cup, and, as a result, they drew fouls.
Yeah. That's the one thing that the Thunder – that's, Mike, the Thunder's game plan in this series has been to pack the paint.
Right.
They were not going to allow the Denver Nuggets to beat them on the inside. The dunker spot, I talked about this before, they have completely taken that away.
Yep.
I mean, how many times have we seen Aaron Gordon make a play from the dunker spot? Hardly at all in this series.
There were so many positives to take away from tonight, but still Aaron Gordon hasn't really found himself offensively. What do you end up with, 5 points?
Yeah, well, he also hurt his hamstring with 2 minutes to go.
Is he out?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So it didn't look great. Now, the good thing for the Nuggets is this is the first time in the series where they'll have 2 days off. And I was telling KJ, who was on with me earlier, I was telling KJ, who does it benefit more in this series for that 2-day break? Who does that benefit more? It's no question it benefits the Nuggets more because they're the older team and the less deep team. So, I mean, it absolutely benefits the Nuggets.
I'll tell you who the 2 days of rest really benefits. It benefits me, Coach Mike Sanford, because I'm already starting to look into a little road trip. Me and my boys, if I can get into the arena.
Drive it.
I've been to Bricktown before.
How far of a drive is it?
It's 10 hours and 10 minutes. I've already looked it up. You know what's crazy is I looked into hotels. It's about as cheap as it gets, man.
Dude, I bet.
So I don't want to broadcast this too widely because those hotel prices are going to start skyrocketing.
Well, get it now.
I don't know if
dude, that's awesome. I hope you guys end up doing that.
Do you think the Kroenke family could get me a few decent price tickets, or am I going to have to go StubHub and get OKC style StubHub type tickets?
Hey, you can always ask.
That's going to be electric, man.
10:30 tomorrow. Julian Strawther on with you guys.
He's going to be on the morning sprint tomorrow, which is incredible.
10:30. Julian Strawther on with Raj and Coach Sanford. 10:30 tomorrow after just a breakout Strawther game. Awesome to see.
He was awesome. Watching him up at Colorado Social, you saw just a massive grin on his face. You can tell that there is it's a relief for him as a young player. That's so important when you're a young player to have a breakthrough moment in the postseason.
To know you can do it.
To know you can do it. And he did it tonight.
And now he knows he can do it.
And he can do it again.
And now he's got a little bit more trust, not only in the coaching staff, but his teammates as well.
Yep.
So awesome to see. Mike, you're the best. Let you get out of here, man.
Appreciate
Thank you so much. Any final thoughts on the game today? Did you lose your voice? Actually, Andy posted a video of you on Twitter. He said you're a big towel guy. Are you a big towel guy? Were you waving the towel all night?
Dan, I've never had a chance until these last 2.5 years of my life to be a real fan.
You are taking advantage of that, my friend.
Maybe a little too much.
No, not at all. No.
My wife kind of ends up kind of hiding out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed of this guy." But it was an incredible night here at Ball Arena. And you know what? My biggest takeaway is I'm not ready for this thing to be over. And I don't think anybody here that was in the building at Ball Arena or watching at home or listening to our fine station here at Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 is anywhere near ready to let this thing end, because I think the Denver Nuggets, if they survive Game 7, they have a really fun path forward to do something really special.
Oh, man. I mean, I just keep saying this, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, Coach. I don't, but I cannot help but think about this. It's most likely going to be the Pacers or the Knicks coming out of the East. I mean, the Nuggets have a great shot against those teams. But we got to one game at a time, man. I got to keep telling myself that.
This Western Conference is a room brawl, man.
It's been like this for like 20 years. The West has been
it's a real deal, man.
So much better than the East. It's wild. Whoever gets out of the West has to go through just a slugfest to get through
it involves
this.
Luka Doncic, and then they'll lose to the East. That's pretty much it. So
I'm always down for taking shots at Lakers, man.
Same
I'm
with
always
me.
down for that.
Even though somehow, some way, I grew up in Southern California, but I hate them now.
Good. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
I hate him now.
Julian Strawther's a Nugget. You're a true Coloradan now.
Correct. And you know where Julian Strawther's from? My old hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada, where my dad and mom currently reside. My dad's a high school
Is that where you were
football
born?
coach. I wasn't born there, but
Okay.
my parents, I coached at UNLV, and my parents live there now.
It's a good spot.
It's a good spot.
Good spot, man.
Strawther. He's
Julian
man of the
Strawther.
hour.
Player of the game in my book. Coach, you're the best.
Hey, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
man. There he
Man.
goes. That is Mike Sanford. Again, Julian Strawther tomorrow with Alex Ryanemi and Coach Mike Sanford at 10:30, everybody. So make sure to tune in for their interview with tonight's player of the game, Julian Strawther. All right, we'll hit a quick timeout. We've got Julian Strawther sound that we still have to get to, and we might be hearing from DMac here, and we'll give our final thoughts and look forward to Game 7. That's all coming up next right here on In the Paint.
Nuggets can get it down to less than 4 minutes to go in the game and still get a good shot off. I love what Katie said about Adelman. Don't turn it over. Every trip up the floor, take a shot. Gordon has it behind the three-point line. Throws it off over to Jokic. Nice flop by Holmgren there. Jokic has it inside the arc. He starts backing down Holmgren to the dotted line. Throws out of it. Strawther three. You the man! Julian Strawther, you the man! In game number 6. Timeout Thunder. Nuggets lead it by 16.
Yeah, Julian Strawther was the man tonight, everybody. That was absolutely awesome to see from Julian Strawther. We're going to hear from Julian here in just a second, but I kind of wanted to just mention, first off, Aaron Gordon did injure his hamstring with about 2 minutes to go in this game. He came up limping. He was holding his left hamstring. Obviously, that is going to be something to keep an eye out for the Denver Nuggets. That was a tough thing to see at the end of this game and what was otherwise such an awesome ending to this basketball game. Now, again, the Nuggets do have 2 days off, but that's the thing about hamstrings. They're a fickle beast, those hamstrings. I mean, like I said earlier, we saw Steph Curry, who is significantly older, but we saw Steph Curry go down in Game 1 of the Warriors and T-Wolves series, and he ended up missing the rest of that series. Now, like I said, Curry is significantly older, so those hamstrings are going to take longer to heal the older you get, but that is obviously concerning because the hamstrings are just one of those things where, like, you just have to stay off of it for X amount of days before it starts to get better. So clearly that is going to be something to keep an eye on. But look, I mean, I see people on the text line talking about it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in dwelling on that at this point. And if he's not able to go on Sunday, the Nuggets are going to have to figure out what they want to do. What will probably end up happening is you're going to have Peyton Watson starting and then have big-time minutes for Russell Westbrook and Julian Strawther in Game 7. But we'll see. We don't know yet what the severity of that is. He could end up playing in Game 7. Also, that 2-day break will give Jamal Murray a little bit of extra time to try and get healthy there as well. But, this has been a pretty up-and-down start to Julian's career. He's a first-round pick of the Nuggets a couple years ago. He comes in his rookie year, and I can't remember. It was somewhere on the road, and I can't remember specifically where, but there was a game where Julian Strawther poured in like 38 points and hit 5 or 6 threes, something like that. And my point is that Julian Strawther, at various points throughout his very young NBA career, has shown the ability to be that guy that can come off the Nuggets bench and do what he did tonight. He's a guy that has the ability to come in off the bench and knock down open shots. He's the best shooter this team has coming off the bench, and that's why I've actually been calling for Adelman to give him a little bit more run just to try and find a way to help this bench unit out, and he did it tonight. I credit Coach Adelman for that. I truly was not expecting that. I mean, Julian played 6 minutes in Game 4. He played 10 minutes in Game 5, and that got bumped up to 20 minutes tonight, and Julian rewarded his teammates and coach with just an excellent performance. 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc, perfect from the free throw line, hit all 4 of his free throws. And it was that into that third quarter where Julian Strawther came in and really put the boot on the throat of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then obviously Adelman's decision to rest Murray and Jokic in the fourth quarter was something I was really interested in seeing because we've seen that scenario play out so many times so far in just this series. So I thought it was the right decision. I was surprised in Game 5 when Joker didn't sit to start the fourth. But on the flip side of that, like I talked about earlier, in Game 4, Adelman did sit Joker when the Nuggets went into the fourth quarter with an 8-point lead, and they lost the lead there. So it was a tough spot for Adelman to be in, but he just kind of played it by ear and felt this thing out. It helped that Julian Strawther got the hot hand at the end of the third quarter. He felt a lot more comfortable leaving him out there, and then Julian hit another another three-pointer early on in that fourth quarter. So that was just awesome to see from Julian Strawther. He spoke with the media in the locker room after the game.
Right here, but we got it back thanks to the ball boys. They came through. Yeah.
Really, what was it like to be out there in a rhythm like that with your team needed the season down the line, have a game like that?
I mean, that's the moments that you dream of when you was a little kid. Coming to the game, having all the guys believe in you, find you in your spots, and then be able to just make an impact on the game. So.
Can you take us through your emotions when you hit that last three? Look up at the crowd and everyone's losing their minds.
I don't even remember, honestly. It was just when I don't remember, Ma. I don't remember what happened. Honestly, I just wanted to share that moment with my brothers. We all got emotional behind it. It was the timeout. Yeah, that's a moment I remember.
What would you say about Jamal Murray's toughness and his ability to play through being sick?
I mean, Jamal is just a special cat, man. He's wired differently. Regardless of what anyone ever says, we know that he's one of the toughest guys in the room every time he step out. And, today's no different. Playing through illness and being able to, lead the pack and get us a dub, it's huge.
What's it mean to put together a performance collectively like this with your backs against the wall?
Yeah, just like you said, I mean, it was win or go home, and I feel like we all just came through as a collective. We understood the assignment. We had to bring energy to the game and leave everything out there. There was nothing to take home with us.
Julian, why is this team so good with its back against the wall?
I think we just got a bunch of winners. We got a bunch of winners and a bunch of guys that have played for the man next to them, and I feel like in a night like tonight that showed. I feel like everybody was playing for the guy next to him and understanding that we just all trying to make it a Sunday to play one more game.
What's that? We all know you as a good shooter, but how much pride do you take in your defense?
Obviously, I know that's one of my biggest areas of improvement, and that's something that I'm focusing a lot of time on. And I understand that that's going to ultimately be the thing that's going to keep me on or off the floor. Offensively, I feel like I belong, and just showing the world that I belong on that end too.
Julian, at the beginning of the playoffs, DA said your role was going to be to stay ready. What have your conversations with him looked like as your role has kind of increased over the second round?
It's been just that, stay ready. Obviously, understanding that there's a night that I may not check in at all, and there's a night like tonight where he's gonna ride with me and understand that I got to go in and let me rock. So. Me and him have had a transparent relationship through these playoffs, and I'm really appreciative for him, throwing me out there tonight.
We've already had a Game 7 in this postseason. How much confidence does this group have as you get ready to head to Oklahoma City?
I mean, like you said, having that Game 7 in our back pocket, something that we've already been through as a unit, is huge for us. But, this one's a little different. We're going into hostile territory on the road. But same things apply. Play for the man next to you, and there's nothing to bring home with us. Just empty the tank and get this win.
Julian, you haven't played a ton of minutes in the playoffs so far in your young career, but you've had some massive moments back in college at Gonzaga. How much did those moments prepare you for a night like tonight?
I mean, just playing in all the big games. I feel like I played in every single big game that college basketball had to offer, and, I've been able to, like you said, have moments in them games. So my confidence when the lights are bright are sky high.
Julian, speaking of that, you played in some big college games in this building. How comfortable and how fun is it to play in this building?
I mean, especially tonight, it's super fun. Just the crowd is so engaged. You go to other arenas and it's a little different here. Just the fans and how loud it gets. And I mean, we're just truly thankful for our 6 men.
Do you think Chet's okay after getting fouled so hard by Jokic?
He'll be all right. That's the least of my concerns right now.
Thank you. Somebody just asked Julian Strawther if Chet's okay after Jokic fouled him. That is amazing. If you missed it earlier, I posted it on my Twitter, at DanTanner091. They showed it on the Jumbotron, and it was – look, I really try to not talk about the ref guy, blame the ref guy, but it was one of the most ridiculous calls I think I've ever seen in my life. It's on my Twitter if you want to go look at the replay. Joker literally hardly even grazes Chet's jersey, and Chet falls to the ground like he just got whiplash in a car accident. I mean, this is absolutely insane. But look, I thought there were some questionable calls on both sides tonight, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought the refs had a bit of a rough game tonight, but it is what it is, okay? In fact, if you want to just go the route of looking at the free throw attempts in this series, the Nuggets have a significant amount more free throws than the Thunder do in this series. But you can talk about that's the way, the Nuggets play. They've been driving to the rim. Okay, I get it. So, anyways, it's just that was a really funny moment there. We're going to hear from Joker here in just a second, but one of the things that Julian just said there was this team has experience in Game 7, and they just have more experience in general. And that's one of the things I'll be really looking for also coming up in Game 7. How does this young, inexperienced OKC team, how do they handle a Game 7? I mean, they sweep their first-round series against the Memphis Grizzlies, and now they're in a dogfight against a team that won a championship less than 2 years ago. That's what I cannot wait to see coming up in Game 7 is how tight are the Thunder, especially to start that game as DMac joins the show. You just you're hustling up here.
I did. Just posted Jokic.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We just heard from Julian Strawther in the locker room.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about, the Nuggets have the experience in Game 7.
By the way, real quick, because of Mike Sanford's tweet about all prayers for Chet Holmgren or something like that, I did ask Strawther. I asked Strawther, is it going to be all right?
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But I asked it specifically because I saw Sanford's tweet about the video.
I just reacted to that because I was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, it's a kumbaya, round circle sort of moment.
Well, this is this the one you're talking about? Because I actually tweeted this out from the Jumbotron, D. Let me see here. Yeah, is this the play right here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, look at this angle. Just look at this real quick. Okay, look at it. Joker.
Yeah.
He barely grazes him. Chet does a flip on the ground. Like, what is that? And they called it on. I couldn't believe it.
Now,
I just could not
you got to know
believe it.
Strawther and Chet went to college together, right? Of course.
Sure, yeah. They were Gonzaga teammates.
And so you should have, I asked him the question. It was at the end, so it was, okay. Jamal Murray just started guffawing. It was an official guffaw when he heard my question because he was standing right next to us.
Oh, did he really?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you notice.
So they thought it was ridiculous, too.
Of course they thought it was ridiculous. And did you notice that Jamal sort of made fun? He did the Gary, the morning show. What do they call the Gary thing?
Yes, running into the stanchion.
Yes.
He was pretending to flop into the stanchion. That was later on in the game, but that was great.
I thought there was a moment where Murray was just sick of the flopping. He was making fun of Oklahoma City on the court, and that sort of led to him being fired up. Strawther hits his threes and then that alley-oop, and I thought that was it. I thought that, the game still had some time to go. But I thought that was the emotional turning point of everything going. Like, the Nuggets were just sick of this crap with the flopping and the this and the that. And Chet is, he was. Should have Adelman have challenged that foul call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But it was relatively early. But
look,
they've been ridiculous. Oklahoma City's been ridiculous with this stuff.
They have. And it's funny, D, we were talking about early on in this series, the OKC crowd chanting free throw merchant when Joker was at the line. I think that was game 2. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane what we're seeing right now.
Yeah,
like there's always flopping. Every team in the NBA flops. Okay, let's just start there.
Yeah.
But this is like a whole new level. I mean, this is something like I've never seen before.
Ridiculous. So I thought it pissed off Murray. Murray was incredible today.
He came in and got a transition bucket right after he was doing the fake flopping into the stanchion.
It was an emotional, just like, come on, like, let's go. And he did not look great post game. It's funny, he mentioned post game that he had some tests. So I think he was worried he had, cold illness tests, what that could possibly mean, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but that all came out negative. So it was just a matter of hydrating him and keeping him going. But, Dan, I really think up until the last second it was questionable. And Adelman said he was watching Jamal for like the first 6 minutes, like, what's going on here? Adelman said pregame, too, the one thing he was upset at himself with wasn't overplaying Jokic in the fourth. It was not taking out Jamal.
Yep.
Also, Adelman said, hey, tonight I could see body language-wise with Jokic that, he was giving him signs that it would be better to rest in the fourth quarter. And if you noticed, he also took Jamal out for just a couple of minutes. And he just managed things Dan, completely different.
Joker checked back in at the 7-minute and 53-second mark of the fourth quarter.
And
the Nuggets were up by 11 at that point.
Correct. They went from 8 points to 11. They expanded the lead. He got Jamal out for a couple minutes right around that point, but for a short period of time. And did you notice when Joker went back in, he drilled a three? Like, he went right back in. He was obviously rested. I did ask Joker afterwards, like, would you prefer to play or not? And he, of course, I don't even think about it. I don't know. It doesn't.
He doesn't think about it.
What? I don't know. So
I think that's just media talk. He's thinking about it. Come on.
Listen, but we saw, like, that's a big question. Were they going to put Jokic in and Jamal to start the fourth? Well, they put Jamal, but they took Jokic out. And then he got Jamal a couple minutes rest. And, Dan, I think that made all the difference in the world. First of all, that is much more similar to what they do in the regular season anyway. So well over 95% of their games, that is just what they do typically. Playing those guys the entire second half is just not what they do. It's not what they're used to. It's not what the team's used to. And that moment allowed other guys on the team, Strawther and other guys, to have a moment. And they did. It was great. Adelman, to me, I think Adelman, in my opinion, Adelman earned the head coaching job for the Denver Nuggets next year and from here on in. Because he did adjust things from Game 5. He did things differently in Game 5. He did trust the bench more with Strawther. He did sit Russell Westbrook a little bit longer. Thank God.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He did a bunch of different things. He didn't play different players, but he played the players that he's playing in a different way, and it made a huge difference.
Well, and I was curious because you're right, he did mix up the rotations tonight. He took out Jamal earlier than he normally would have in the first quarter. That was something that changed. But I was curious to just know if that was because Jamal was sick before the game.
There's no doubt.
Or if that was David Adelman's plan going into the game.
Well, Adelman pregame said that, he was kicking himself for not giving Jamal a little bit more rest in Game 5 in the fourth. So tonight was a little bit different, too, because Jamal was sick. And he clearly, you could tell after postgame, he just didn't look himself. He looked like he was sick. And
I'll tell you what, he didn't look like he was sick on the court,
well,
man.
He looked like
that
he
was
amazing. Sick. It's a different type of sick, I guess. Well, I'm not very cool, but it was actually an extraordinary effort. I was nervous this game was going to come down to Russell Westbrook because everything else was working out. MPJ was good. He was solid. Not spectacular, but he was solid. It was even distribution and scoring, and Jamal Murray was kind of having a really good game. These are all things we talked about. The only missing piece of the puzzle was Russell Westbrook.
And Aaron Gordon, I would say, a little bit.
Okay.
He had 5 points.
Yeah, I was just terrified that this game seriously would come down to the last 30, 45 seconds to Russell Westbrook. But it didn't. It didn't because Strawther came through in the clutch and had such a big night.
Yeah, that was cool to see. And Mike and I just talked about this a little while ago, DMac. Not only does this give Julian Strawther more confidence heading into Game 7, but it also gives more confidence into his teammates and, most importantly, the coaching staff to trust him a little bit more in Game 7. DMac, he played 6 minutes in Game 4, 10 minutes in Game 5, and he got up to 20 tonight, and he performed.
Russell Westbrook almost lost this game in the final 2 minutes of the first quarter, Dan.
Oh, my goodness. Mike and I went through the play-by-play on ESPN.com. It was a brutal two. Dude, they were up 30-20 with under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Hold my beer. Here comes Russell Westbrook.
Oh, my goodness. But, that's the thing about Russ, man.
He had a better second quarter.
Exactly.
He played better
That's
later.
the thing about Russ. In Game 7, who knows? Russ could go for 24 points and knock down 4 threes. We are living through the Russell Westbrook experience, everybody.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I said earlier, look, Nuggets fans, Russ ain't going anywhere. He's going to continue to play in these playoffs. Now,
but Adelman played him a little bit less
exactly.
tonight.
That's on Adelman.
17 minutes, that's not 34 minutes. That's fine.
And that was another very smart decision by Adelman tonight. I thought, I'm with you, man. Adelman, other than the potential challenge on the Joker Holmgren foul, other than that, he had a flawless game.
I was hoping somebody would ask him about it. Nobody really did. That'd be a good one to ask him about at some point because it was so ridiculous. But, that's going to look bad on Oklahoma City and the rest. It's not going to look bad on the Nuggets. I mean, people will sort of dismiss whether or not it got challenged or not because it was so stupid. You're going to see that a million times replayed before Game 7 when they talk about this game and what's been going on. So it's a net positive for everything. Should he have challenged it? Well, sure. I mean, Jokic didn't even breathe on him, so it was kind of preposterous. I'm glad stuff like that did not determine the outcome of the game. It really didn't. They are flopping left and right there. And it does bring up the question, should the Nuggets be flopping too? Should they be doing more of it? I'm kind of glad they don't because it must suck to root for a team that sort of relies on that sort of stuff, aside from some embellishments from Joker a little bit and whatever, man. It was such a special, awesome night tonight. Michael Porter Jr., by the way, in the locker room said one of the reasons that he's been off shooting-wise is he hasn't been able to lift weights for 2.5 weeks, and he says that's part of his conditioning, that's part of his routine, and his body just doesn't feel like it normally does because he's not going through the same routines because of his shot. So
ball's a little bit heavier in his hands.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that facetiously.
No.
I mean, it literally probably feels a tad bit heavier in his hands, and that's going to show out, throw off your form a little bit.
Listen, these guys are world-class athletes performing at the highest level and the highest stage. Little things like that might be incredibly significant. Yeah. And it's funny, like, if you just watch Michael Porter pregame, like in his warm-ups, tonight, dude doesn't miss.
I know.
Dude
it's
was like,
insane.
it's ridiculous. He really doesn't miss when he's just warming up. It's like, if we're going down to the gym, it'd be kind of ridiculous. But these are such high-pressure games, high-pressure moments. How many threes did he get off tonight?
5.
5?
And he hit 2.
All right, so he's 2 for 5. He's 40%.
DMac, here's the thing, right? I'm talking about right now in this series. As much as MPJ has struggled at various points throughout this postseason, I'll take a 10-point game out of Michael Porter Jr.
Absolutely.
And 2 of 5 from 3.
He laughed
right
about
now, that's okay.
He laughed about it because one of the reporters go, well, you had a really good game. And he goes, well, I didn't have 25 points or anything. I just had 10.
Well,
so he laughed at
considering
the
the circumstances,
I agree.
it was a good game for Michael.
I agree. And he wasn't a negative out on the court. It was fine. What, 29 minutes? That's fine.
How about Jamal? Plus 28 tonight.
Jamal
DMac.
was
oh my
Jamal
goodness.
he
was incredible.
Was sublime.
And Christian Brown. We haven't even mentioned Christian Brown. He shot
game.
8 of 14, 3 of 6 from 3, 23 points. We talked about Christian too. He's got to be able to knock down some shots tonight, and he was able to do that. And look what happens when they can hit some outside shots.
Now Joker did not have a triple double, but
he almost got to 10 assists.
But
almost
close. And look at the balance in the scoring, Dan.
Yeah.
I mean, that is beautiful.
And then you get 15 from Julian off the bench.
Incredible.
I mean,
this is how you win.
You got 27 points off the bench.
You don't win with Joker going for 44 points and 5 assists. You do not win like that.
Nope.
And you can't win like that, and you cannot win Game 7 like that. You just can't do it. So it was a brilliant game, brilliantly coached. Adelman said afterwards, listen, teams go on runs. Even when you're up 30-20, you can't sit there. You know they're probably going to come back at some point. But what Strawther was able to do to give them that 16-point lead in the fourth quarter with about 3.5 to go, I mean, that's it, man. Then, Dan, it's just a matter of math. Even though the Nuggets did turn it over for a couple of easy buckets.
2 times in a row, yeah.
That gets a little scary, and it gets under 10 points with like a minute and a half to go. But still, it's still math, in terms of possessions and fouls. And then from then on in, Oklahoma City can never miss. They can't have any empty possessions. And, of course,
and the Nuggets are going to have to miss multiple free throws.
Right. So that was the dagger when they went up 16 late in the game.
All right.
Awesome.
Game 7 coming up on Sunday. I said this earlier. 2 days rest. First time in this series that there's been 2 days in between games.
Yeah.
I think that is a massive advantage for the Nuggets.
Big topic in the locker room.
Massive advantage for the Nuggets.
Agreed.
And not only that, not only just the rest aspect, it's 2 days for Jamal to get healthier from his illness.
How about Game 7 experience?
Well, that's the thing, and that's an extra day for this young, inexperienced Thunder team to be thinking about this.
Yeah.
And now they've got a new wrinkle they have to game plan for named Julian Strawther
Yeah.
that they haven't had to worry about so far in this series.
The Nuggets are the most experienced Game 7 team in the NBA. by just how many Game 7s they've actually played.
And the Thunder swept their first-round series. DMac, I'm telling you, man, they are going to be tight in Game 7.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
I think there's only one or two players, a couple of players from the Thunder that have ever played in a Game 7.
Nuggets have played and won this postseason already.
It's a huge advantage.
It is.
The experience is a huge advantage. The extra day is a huge advantage.
Benefits the Nuggets, no doubt.
We're all very anxious and worried about Aaron Gordon's hamstring.
Yep. That's the big question going into Sunday.
Yeah, he
no
talked
doubt.
to Katie Wingy afterwards and told her that he was taking treatment for it tonight, that he was already going through that process.
Okay.
So
man, the hamstrings are.
I know.
Oof.
I'm nervous about that.
That's a fickle beast right there.
And I have no idea how Game 7 is going to go. But I am so damn proud of this team. The crowd was incredible tonight. I think it all played into it. And they showed – it was funny. Jamal was asked about resiliency, and he goes, well, if we weren't behind so much, we wouldn't have to be.
I heard that.
And so
he's like, do you like when you're backed into a corner? He's like, not really.
No,
I'd rather be up.
I'd rather have. But this is what this team has done. It's been a roller coaster all year. And I'm really proud of them. I hope it doesn't end in Game 7, but I have such a better feeling about them because they won this Game 6. And whatever happens in Game 7 happens. The scary part for the NBA, and what's exciting should be for Nuggets fans, if they can win Game 7, they could win the NBA championship this year. That's what's like, whoa.
Now, I don't want to overlook Minnesota
of course
if they're able to win Game 7.
Of course
but I was telling this to Mike earlier, and I even said, I'm like, I really hate getting ahead of myself, but I just can't help but think that it's most likely going to be New York or Indiana coming out of the East. Now, the Celtics-Knicks series is still going on.
Yeah.
I think New York's going to pull that one out, especially with the Jason Tatum injury. But, man, if the Nuggets can find a way to get this Game 7 win and get over on Minnesota, they are going to be heavy favorites against the Knicks or the Pacers.
But you had to win tonight to even start that dream rolling.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
It wasn't a jubilant locker room. It was just it was happy though. Like there were some laughs. It was but it wasn't like over the moon. It wasn't crazy.
We've been here before.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly the way it was, which
good.
is cool.
Good.
I think
that's good to hear.
Yep.
That's great to hear. All right, Dee. Great stuff as always, man. Thank you so much.
Dan Tanner.
Yeah, what a win for the Nuggets tonight, everybody. Game 7, 2 Game 7s in a row as the Nuggets beat the Thunder 119-107 is the final. And just a spectacular performance from Julian Strawther tonight. I am very excited to see what he ends up doing and how many minutes he's going to play coming up on Sunday in Game 7. And reminder, it all comes down to this. Join Altitude Sports Radio at Stoney's on Lincoln this Sunday for a Game 7 viewing party. We will have awesome prizes, a live broadcast, and a chance to watch your Nuggets in the biggest game of the season, all brought to you by Milagro Tequila, the brighter side of tequila. See you on Sunday at Stoney's, so make sure to head on down to Stoney's. We have done many shows from there. Stoney's is an outstanding place to watch a basketball game, so make sure to come check that out. All right, that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Once again, the final, 119-107. The Nuggets get the Game 6 victory. Game 7 coming up on Sunday. I believe it's a 1:30 start on Sunday. I love that. So get those mimosas in, get that brunch in, and then head on down to Stoney's for the viewing party we're having there to watch the Nuggets and Thunder go at it to determine who goes to the Western Conference Finals. For Coach Mike Sanford, for DMac, Kevin Shockey, Jordan Berg, Berto, Baca, Cole Smith, I'm Dan Tanner. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.